So in the 2024 Toyota Tacoma lineup, there are a lot of trims, but one that intrigues me the most is this, the TRD Pro. Now, as you guys know, if you watch my channel, I currently own a TRD Off-Road, not in the 2024 year, of course, the previous generation. But something that I wondered when I first bought that truck was I pondered whether I should get a TRD Off-Road or TRD Pro. I like to go in the desert, go off-roading, and it seems like both trims kind of suit that well. And in the previous model years of the previous generation, the one I have, both the TRD Pro and TRD Off-Road are their own beast, but they do have a lot of similarities. Like, they have the same tire size from the factory, same body style, and yes, the TRD Pro has an upgraded interior, but it still is very similar to the TRD Off-Road.
I've had a lot of viewers ask me on my channel before, besides wheels, tires, and shocks, what makes the TRD Pro a Pro? In other words, should I just get the TRD Off-Road? Before Toyota refreshed the Tacoma for 2024, I have to say, these two trims shared many of the same characteristics.
But the 2024 model Tacomas, looking closely here at SEMA at the Toyota booth, you can actually see quite a few distinguishing differences between these two. So in this video, I want to identify 5 things, specifically off-road things, that are different for the 2024 Tacoma TRD Pro and 2024 Tacoma TRD Off-Road.
Now obviously, there are more than 5 things that differ between these two trims, but what I'm talking about in this video is what I consider to be some of the more distinct differences, starting out with the IsoDynamic performance seats.
So one thing about this 2024 Tacoma TRD Pro in this awesome new exclusive color, Terra, is it's got the IsoDynamic seats. And basically the IsoDynamic seats are there to provide stability for your head and neck when you're off-roading. They actually have shock absorbers in the back of the seats. Pretty wild.
Now there is vertical and lateral movement and even adjuster knobs so you can dial in the cushioning.
Now, if you guys watch my off-road videos, I do have a lot of GoPro shots sitting in the cab, and I feel like I'm bouncing around all the time, so I'm really going to benefit from having IsoDynamic seats. I can see them as being a really big positive change for someone like me. But how exactly can you test them out without actually taking these trucks out off-road? Well, here at the SEMA show, Toyota Connected North America actually has a simulator where you can try out the IsoDynamic seats. As I always say on my channel when I'm talking about suspension, a lot of the times it's really difficult to explain it. It really has to be felt. Customers aren't going to have the ability to go to the dealership and say, hey, I want to take a TRD Pro out to the desert and test run it to test fit these seats. So something like this is a really good opportunity to see how the seats feel.
And I made sure to hop in and get behind the wheel of the simulator game, TRD Pro Time Attack, to test out the seat for myself.
Right, you guys, I'm testing out the simulator. Wish me luck. Well, I gotta say, I think I need to work on my off-road driving skills, but that was a really controlled ride. These seats are pretty impressive, and I think they aren't really a gimmick. I think TRD Pro owners are really gonna like this. I certainly could use this in my own truck.
This test drive really made me buy into these seats. They are quite the feat of engineering, and my eyes were stabilized, even though I knew the truck was bouncing around and going pretty fast over some rough terrain. Overall, I think these seats are one of the best unique to TRD Pro items, and it was cool there was a way to test them out.
As sim racing gets more and more popular, this is a really great option for people who want to virtually try out a ride or try out different seats. Something unique about this TRD Pro Tacoma too is actually it is a little bit wider than some of the trims like the TRD Off-Road by about 3 inches, and you can see the styling on the front bumper is quite different as well. We've got a lot more angles going on. We've got angly fender flares.
I actually didn't realize this until I saw them next to each other, but the 3-inch increased width really makes the Pro stand out over other trims like the Off-Road. Not to say that the Off-Road doesn't look aggressive too, but the Pro is really a monster of its own.
Now, one thing I do wish is that this truck had long travel due to the wider width. The wider width can be attributed to the wheel offset, but if you'll come around and look at the suspension over here, obviously we've got the Fox shocks, but you can see we've got this billet upper control arm, and this is going to add about a ½ inch of extra travel, which is pretty cool. And something else to note is when I was talking to Sheldon, the lead engineer behind the Tacoma, he mentioned that these trucks have sway bar disconnect. So you're gonna get really a lot of articulation out of this truck as compared to before. It is still quite the beast. So on this TRD Pro, you do get an increased tire size compared to the previous generation. Specifically here, we have the Goodyear Wrangler Territories in the size 265/70 R18. You can see they've adapted the wheel wells as well, so you've got a lot of room to fit a pretty big tire. This one, if you put the size in the tire calculator, I think is around a 32, almost a 33-inch tire, which is pretty significant. The Goodyear Wrangler Territories certainly have a more aggressive tread than what I see on the TRD Off-Road, but what's nice is there's still an all-terrain tire. That's gonna be nice so that when you're driving on the streets, you have something that's pretty comfortable, not super loud like a mud terrain that goes whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Now, if we come over to this TRD Off-Road, you can see we have a slightly different tire here, but it is in the same size, 265/70 R18. Again, very trail-worthy tire. Obviously, with the slightly bigger tire here than in the previous generation Tacoma, it means that when you're off-roading, I like to say the holes get smaller. And I can certainly appreciate that from the factory, Toyota is adapting these vehicles. Again, as you can see, there is a lot of room to fit larger size tires on these trucks. Before, you had to do a lot of cutting. That isn't the case as much with this generation. So the truck really is built for the enthusiast. Okay, you guys, so upgraded tires aren't the only thing you get unique to this TRD Pro. You also get Fox shocks. Now, unlike the previous generation where you also got Fox shocks, these ones are equipped with Fox's Quick Switch 3 technology.
This allows for fine-tuned changes to your suspension, and as the name implies, there are 3 different adjustment settings. So, depending on the terrain you're on, you can set your shocks to adjust compression and really get controlled movement.
Now, I have Fox shocks on my own Tacoma right now. Of course, I don't have the Quick Switch 3 technology, so it is very exciting to see that come to the TRD Pro. But my shocks do have compression adjustment, and they have been so awesome. I can really get a controlled, predictable ride out of my truck, and I really like that. I'd expect the same out of this TRD Pro. Again, suspension is really something that can't be explained. It's something that has to be felt and experienced, but Fox shocks really are the best for the Toyota Tacoma.
It is hard to judge these shocks without testing them out off-road, but all I'm saying is that I personally like the previous gen TRD Pro Fox shocks and my aftermarket Performance Elite Fox shocks, so I'd be surprised if these Quick Switch 3s didn't live up to the hype. Also, from a quick glance, I thought it was interesting how they changed the lower shock mount design. The bolt goes completely through the lower control arm now. Anyways, I'm just excited to see more about the suspension as time moves on.
Lastly, with the TRD Pro, of course, you are going to get a lot of Pro-specific styling. Starting up here, back in the tailgate, you get a giant TRD Pro stamped into the tailgate. Also, what I really like about this new model year is you get an ARB bumper, TRD red tow hooks, and if we come around to the side of the truck, You can't forget about these TRD 18-inch wheels, black tipped exhaust, a TRD Pro badge and insignia right here on the hood. You also, of course, get the hood scoop. Small little things over here on the headlight like TRD Pro stamped inside. Can't forget about the favorite Toyota Heritage grille. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, you get this really cool looking front bumper with a lot of really aggressive angles, adding to the TRD Pro prowess of this truck. I briefly mentioned the color of this TRD Pro as well in the beginning of the video. Terra, quite a bold choice as well. I will say cement gray still has a place forever in my heart, but I do like this color. It's an earth tone color. It stands out, but it's not too poppy, and it's a color you don't see on a lot of vehicles. I think another interesting pro-specific styling choice I've seen on a lot of them is the glossy black finishes. Obviously, you could see them here on the fender flares, but you can also see it here on the roof. Same with the grille and the front part of the bumper as well. I think it's an interesting styling choice. It definitely is bold. I like the way it looks, but I want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. So being here at the SEMA show and finally seeing the 2024 Tacoma TRD Pro in person, I'm so happy to see that it has quite a bit of distinguishing features from the other trims offered in the 2024 Tacoma lineup. I especially like how here at the SEMA show they put the TRD Pro right next to the TRD Off-Road, so you can really see the differences side by side. But that is not to say that the TRD Off-Road doesn't come with an awesome set of off-road features from the factory. It in of itself really is an awesome truck, and actually I have a whole video on my channel detailing a lot of features with this TRD Off-Road Premium. If you want to check it out, I'll have it linked down below. But now in this model year, they have really elevated the TRD Pro. I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Toyota for hosting me here at the SEMA 2023 show. They had quite the amount of Tacomas here at the booth. It was really eye candy for me. So exciting to see all these new trucks. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you want to connect more with me, you can follow me on my Instagram. It is at ChloeKuo Taco. Otherwise, I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.